The Pillar Men are not merely ancient enemies. They are the apex of biological evolution, a subspecies that ruled the Earth long before humanity recorded history. They are the creators of the stone masks and the masters of the vampire ecosystem. Their powers are not magical, but biological, the result of total cellular control. We are analyzing the complete arsenal of the Pillar Men, from their base physiology to the godlike ascension of cars, covering their appearances from the Mexican desert to the volcanic climax of battle tendency. First, ability, high-level body manipulation. This is the foundational power of the Pillar Men, introduced immediately upon Santana's awakening in the Mexico laboratory early in the story. Unlike humans or even vampires, Pillar Men possess total conscious control over their bodily structure at a cellular level. This allows them to dislocate bones, flatten internal organs, and contort their mass to fit into impossibly small spaces. In the story, this is first demonstrated when Santana compresses his entire skeletal structure to slither through a ventilation shaft only 4 centimeters by 20 centimeters wide. This is not elasticity, it is the restructuring of biological matter. This ability renders conventional containment impossible. If there is a gap, they can enter it. If there is a bind, they can slip it. Second, ability, cellular absorption. This is the primary feeding mechanism of the species and their most terrifying close-range weapon. A Pillar Man does not need to bite a victim to consume them. By physically touching an organic target, they release a potent digestive acid from their skin cells that melts the victim's flesh on contact. They then absorb the biological slurry directly into their own body. This mechanic makes grappling with a Pillar Man suicidal. During the battle tendency arc, this power is shown to bypass physical durability. A victim is simply digested into the Pillar Man's form. The process releases a psychoactive toxin that induces euphoria, meaning the victim feels no pain, only a pleasant numbness as they are consumed. This is countered only by the ripple, HAMON, as the life energy acts as a barrier that the digestive cells cannot penetrate. Third, ability, enhanced senses, and intelligence. The Pillar Men possess sensory organs evolved far beyond human limits. Their intelligence is rated at an IQ of 400, allowing them to master modern languages in seconds simply by listening to human speech and to dismantle complex machinery, like a German firearm, moments after seeing it for the first time. Wamuu specifically utilizes a wind horn on his forehead. This is not a decorative ornament, but a sensory organ that detects changes in atmospheric pressure and wind currents. This allows him to see without eyes, detecting an opponent's location by the disturbance they create in the air. This ability effectively negates the use of smokescreens, stealth, or visual illusions. Against him. Fourth, form, rib blades, possessed by Santana. Chronology, early battle tendency during the confrontation in the German bunker. Santana, the guard dog left behind in Mexico, utilizes his body manipulation to turn his own skeletal structure into offensive weaponry. He can detach his ribs and extrude them through his back and chest. These act as prehensile, razor-sharp blades. The mechanics involve rotating the ribs at high velocity, effectively turning his torso into a meat grinder. The pressure exerted by these blades is recorded at over 800 kilograms per square centimeter. In the story, he uses this to entrap Joseph Joestar, turning a grapple into an impalement. The ribs can expand up to 1.3 meters, giving him unexpected range. Fifth, ability, meat invaders, possessed by Santana. Santana can detach chunks of his own flesh and fire them at opponents. Once these morsels land, they do not die. They act as parasitic organisms. They burrow into the victim's flesh, attempting to hijack the nervous system or simply digest the target from the outside in. This power forces opponents to avoid not just the main body, but any debris or biomass that is severed from it. It represents the Pillar Men's biological tenacity. Every cell is alive and hostile. 6. Mode. Flame mode. AGNI SCHWARZ. Possessed by Esidisi. Chronology. Middle story arc introduced during the confrontation with Joseph Joestar. Esidisi, the strategist of the group, controls thermal energy. He can raise his internal body temperature to 500 degrees Celsius, 932 degrees Fahrenheit. To weaponize this, he manipulates his own blood vessels, extending them out of his body like tentacles. These blood vessels pierce the opponent and inject boiling blood directly into their bloodstream. The heat is sufficient to melt human flesh instantly. This mode effectively turns Esidisi into a walking furnace. He can also detach these boiling vessels to set traps or attack from a distance. The weakness of this mode is that it consumes his own blood, requiring him to weep or express extreme emotion to cool down his frantic biological state. 7th, Technique. Erratic Blaze King mode. Possessed by Esidisi. This is the ultimate application of the flame mode. Esidisi extends blood vessels from multiple points on his back and torso simultaneously, creating an erratic, spinning net of boiling blood. In the story, this covers a wide area, forcing Joseph Joestar to rely on the trick of using wool thread to conduct ripple energy, as approaching Esidisi physically becomes impossible. The heat generated by this form is intense enough to distort the air, creating visual mirages that confuse the opponent. 8th, Mode, Wind Mode. Possessed by Wamuu. Chronology. Middle to late story arc. Wamuu is a warrior of the wind. He connects his internal lungs and respiratory system to tubes he can manifest on his skin. By compressing air inside his body and firing it out through these tubes, he creates a steam cloak or windsuit. This serves two purposes. First, it refracts light, rendering him invisible to the naked eye. Second, it creates a barrier against the sun, allowing him to operate for short periods in daylight, though this drains him rapidly. This mode turns the atmosphere itself into his armor. 9th, Technique, the Divine Sandstorm. Possessed by Wamuu. This is perhaps the most destructive physical technique in the Pillar Man arsenal. Wamuu dislocates his elbow joints and spins his forearms like high-speed turbines, the left arm spinning to the right arm spinning to the left. The mechanics rely on the vacuum created between the two opposing wind streams. This generates a massive, shredding tornado capable of pulverizing rock and human bodies instantly. The damage output is catastrophic. In the story, it shreds a massive stone pillar and nearly kills Caesar Zeppeli in a single strike. It is a technique that dominates the mid-range game, making a frontal assault on Wamuu suicide. 10th, Technique, Atmospheric Rift. Possessed by Wamuu. Used in the final duel against Joseph Joestar at the Chariot Arena. Wamuu gathers massive amounts of air into his lungs, compressing it to dangerous levels, and then expels it through his head horn as a razor-thin blade of wind. This wind blade is sharp enough to cut through stone and metal. However, the compression causes immense friction, tearing apart Wamuu's own body as he uses it. It is a final gambit technique, used only when his arms are disabled or when he needs a precise, long-range sniper shot. 11th, Mode, Light Mode. Possessed by Cars. Chronology, late story arc, prior to the Red Stone of Aja transformation. Cars, the leader, utilizes the power of light. He manifests bone blades from his arms and legs. Unlike normal bone, these blades have a unique structure. Tiny chainsaw-like teeth run along the edge, moving at high speeds. These micro-teeth create air pockets that refract light, causing the blades to glow with a blinding brilliance. This is not just for show. The light blinds the opponent, masking the trajectory of the strike. The blades can slice through steel and stone effortlessly. Cars can also embed these blades with light-reflecting shark teeth to increase their cutting power and luminosity. 12th, Form, the ultimate life form, possessed by Cars. Chronology, the climax of battle tendency. After donning the stone mask fitted with the red stone of Aja, Cars is bathed in UV light and ascends. He becomes the ultimate life form. In this state, he conquers the sun. He is no longer vulnerable to sunlight. In fact, he thrives in it. His biology changes fundamentally. He now possesses the DNA of every organism that has ever lived on Earth. He can manifest the traits of any creature at will, or combine them. He can sprout bird wings to fly at 240 kilometers per hour, harden his skin like a crab, or grow gills. He is the accumulation of all earthly evolution in a single entity. 13th, ability, biological shaping, reactive evolution. Possessed by ultimate Cars. Cars can alter his body to create independent life forms. In the story, he transforms his hand into a carnivorous squirrel that can chew through metal and attack independently. He can detach feathers that turn into armadillo shell projectiles, which then morph into piranhas or octopi upon impact. Furthermore, he possesses reactive evolution. When plunged into molten lava, Cars instantly evolves a layer of inorganic porous foam armor to insulate his body against the heat. He adapts to threats in real time. If he cannot survive an environment, he simply evolves a form that can. 14th, ability, solar ripple, HAMON. Possessed by ultimate Cars. The greatest irony of the Battle Tendency arc is that the ultimate vampire becomes the ultimate ripple user. Because ripple is the energy of the sun produced by breathing and Cars has perfected his biology, he can generate ripple energy hundreds of times more potent than Joseph Joestar. His ripple is so intense it is compared to the surface of the sun. A physical strike charged with this energy does not just burn, it vaporizes flesh. In the final confrontation, a single strike of this ripple melts Joseph's knee instantly. This removes the only weapon humanity had against him. 15th, event, the space exile. Chronology, the conclusion of Battle Tendency. Despite his omnipotence, Cars is defeated by the one thing he could not calculate, luck and the planet itself. Joseph Joestar uses the Redstone of Aja to amplify a volcanic eruption, launching Cars into the stratosphere. As Cars is pushed into the vacuum of space, his body attempts to adapt. He freezes his fluids and transforms his skin into a rock-like mineral shell to prevent decompression. However, in space, there is no matter to manipulate and no way to propel himself back to Earth. The ultimate life form is perfect but immobile. He drifts eternally in the void. Eventually, unable to die, Cars stops thinking. This marks the end of the Pillar Men's legacy, not through death, but through eternal stagnation.